Hi, I'm Meyer. Today I'm going to show you a technique painting on sheer fabric and adding it to your quilt to create depth. In this design I had a picture of 3 kingfishers. What I did, your first step is to make 2 drawings of your picture. So I made a drawing of my big kingfisher sitting on a branch, and the back part is the other 2 kingfishers on the rest of the tree. So my first step is you need to take your picture and then make 2 drawings of that picture. This is going to be my background. I'm going to make a quilt out of that part, and this is the part that will be painted and will go on the sheer fabric. Okay. The next step is now to prepare your fabric to paint on. First thing is to cut some Avalon. You all know Avalon. It's the stabilizer, wash away stabilizer you use for embroidery. So this I cut up in little pieces. I dissolve it in some water. I normally leave mine overnight. And once that is dissolved, I then paint my fabric with that. You then, once it's painted, you leave it to settle for about 15 minutes. And then you hang it out to dry. Remember to work on a piece of plastic when painting with your solution. When hanging it, it is very important not to hang it in the wind, because when it folds over and dries like that, you've got to redo the whole process, as there will be marks on it. So what I normally do, I hang it on a washing stand and I put pegs in at the bottom to let it hang down properly. You then leave it to dry. Once it's dry, you iron it and you will have a nice firm surface to work on. Right, once you've done your preparation on your fabric, you need a very nice, firm, stiff board. On that, I put my picture, the one that I want to color in now. That is fixed. On top of that goes freezer paper with the shiny side facing up. You attach it only on one side, and then over that comes the sheer fabric that you have prepared. Now you start coloring in. I use Inktense pencils. You then start coloring in, and your whole design is colored in, places accentuated that you would like, and there we go. And you carry on until you are happy with your design. Then you need to use your acrylic primer and extender and your brushes. The best is to pour a little bit of the extender into a plate, close up your bottle, and then work with it. I'm just going to use it like that. I take my extender and then I start coloring in my design. And you can see that the colors actually intensify and really come out. And when you've done some shading, that also stands out very nicely. What is very important here is that your design must actually stick to the freezer paper. If it does not, there will be bubbles and the color won't take. So very, very important that your fabric sticks to your freezer paper. You then leave it to dry properly. Once it's dry, you can lift it up. And there's your design. If there's a little bubble, you can just redo until you've got all your color fixed on your sheer fabric. Once your design is completely dry, you need to do some extra stitching, but that's only if you really want to. In that case, I would use a very strong water-soluble fabric. Put that at the bottom and do your stitching and then just rinse it out. Rinse it out very well so that you've got all that excess gooey stuff out. Dry it and then iron it nice and flat. At this stage, I will then put this aside and start making my background quilt. In the case of my kingfishers, I made a proper quilt. I used raw edge applique to do this. I also did a lot of quilting on it, the feathers, all other details. I also used Inktense pencils and crayons to color in certain parts. And I quilted the background, and this quilt was then finished off with a facing. It was done on 3 sides only, the 2 sides and the bottom. The top was left undone. You then square off your sheer bit to fit your bottom quilt. And then your 2 layers is attached at the top with another facing. On this quilt, for extra accents, I used fabric paint. For instance, to put the spots on the kingfisher's wings and here on the feathers. So that and here, that's just ordinary Dala fabric paint that I used there. And I hope that you will enjoy trying out this technique.